we go, well, we are already being started. So hi, I'm Dafina Smith. I'm the founder and CEO of Covet Mane. And today we are here, we're having a very important conversation of navigating the hair loss journey for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We have, this is, I would say, more of a very personal story and live for us because we have a personal connection with Sassy. She is she's a close friend, but she's also a really big inspiration to a lot of stylists in our Covet collective, as well as her clients. She's one of our biggest clients, and she's also an educator for the brand for Covet and Mane. And she also has had a very personal connection to breast cancer, which I want her to speak about more in her own words, but just navigating her experience. And I think one of the things that I really admire about you, Sassy, is how much you allow this to be a very personal journey, that you've opened the doors for a lot of people and been really not just inspirational, but really also reminding everybody to be like, you know what, let me go and get checked. Let me listen to my body a little bit more. Let me talk to my mom, my friends, and started a lot of conversations and a lot of awareness that I hopefully that we can bring into this conversation today. Um, and then we have Lauren Fennell Cutter, who is part of Back to You, which you've been an organization. I know this is at the core of your mission. Really, and today, as we more focus on our Covet Collective, which is hairstylists, they sit at the core of a lot of your emotional conversations, a lot of the big moments in your life, and yet so few don't realize how helpful they can be for their clients who are experiencing, chemotherapy or lots of different types of medically triggered hair loss. I think we're going to focus more today around chemotherapy. But I want to give you guys a chance to I hope I told your story in a good context, but I do want to have you guys fill that in more personal. I'm going to start with Sassy. But for those of us today who are on the call, please use the chat to ask any questions. And then as we, go into the discussion more, Carly, if you feel that there's anything that is like aligned with what we're already talking about, we can, bring you in, maybe give more context so we can make it more conversational, but I still want it to have kind of like the structured flow that we like to have. So I want to start with Sassy. And I've kind of spoken a little bit about it, but this is your personal journey. So I just kind of wanted to have it in your words of what brought you here to where we are today.
Well, thank you for introducing me. Thank you for having me. And I'm very honored to be here. I feel like, you kind of take on a responsibility of sharing a story when something like this happens. I know it immediately when I found out, I wanted to connect with someone that understood, and that was really important to me. And so hopefully it feels like it's all worth it once you can kind of make that connection with someone else. So hopefully today serves as that. My name is Sassy Medchill. I am from Texas. I have a salon here and I've been doing hair for about 16 years, which is crazy. Been with Covet in Maine for a good portion of that, and been educating with them for a couple years now, which has been awesome. 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, I joined the unlucky club of figuring out I had breast cancer. And over the past 2 years, I have gone under 3 or 4 surgeries, 20 rounds of chemo, lost the majority of my hair, and did all that while running a business and continuing to work, and just kind of learning about what life is after cancer. So I'm happy to say that I'm cancer free these days. I'm very proud of that. And I feel like it really kind of opened a whole new world of hair and hair loss and just this community that I didn't know I needed to be a part of, but I'm so passionate, to teach what I can and learn from who I can. And if, like I said, if I can help anybody in any way, that it just makes it worth it.
Mhm. Absolutely. And Lauren, can you share a little bit about your story, what inspired you to really build this organization and focus on helping stylists navigate this space?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Lauren Fennell Cutter. I have a salon in Pensacola, Florida. We've been de novo for like 10 years, but I've been raised in the industry, and my dad was big in the industry and always focused on men's hair loss. So I was raised around that. So when it came into the time, I've been doing hair for 24 years now, and you don't really know what to do when your client comes in and says, I'm about to go through chemo, I'm going to lose all my hair. And as a young stylist and just the immaturity of not knowing what I don't know, it's like, okay, well, I guess go find a wig and let me know if I can look at it and try to help you. But I just really had no knowledge of what to do for a client in that space, or that I needed to have that knowledge. It just hasn't been a thing where stylists always take that on, especially as a young stylist. You don't realize that's something that you should go down the road of educating, because it's just not something that's talked about as much. About 10 years ago, I met my mentor, Harry Wood. And so I've been on this journey with Back to You. He started in 2018, and he's been a hairdresser for 30 plus years. And with him as a stylist dealing with the same thing, not knowing what to do, but wanting to do something because of his maturity in the industry, he set it out on a mission to create a company to help educate stylists and let them know that this is absolutely your responsibility to be able to provide this for them. You've got clients that you've been through weddings and births and all these things. And then when they start to go through something that's so detrimental and they're about to lose the one connection that they have with you, which is their biological hair, you don't have, a resource for them. So it's really been a huge mission of mine to make it part of my organization and the stylists around me, that we do have that ability to know how to provide that service in their weakest moment. I mean, like Sassy said, like, it's something like, it's a club you don't want to belong to, but it happens. It's cancer's not one of those things that's going away. It's not a matter of if, it's when it's going to end up in your chair. And to be able to have the ability to provide that service for my clients is a huge, we do this for a reason. We like to make people happy, but to be able to make them happy and feel good and safe in that space that they're going through is what's driven me to be able to really go down this road and provide not only education for my clients, but then to be part of an organization that wants to make this a global thing in our industry so that stylists know how to provide that service for them.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we're gonna kind of start through the journey and focus really on, for you, Sassy, I wanted to ask you, in terms of in your journey, when did you, what was, at what point in your chemotherapy journey did you really start investigating what your options were going to be? And then, where did it, when did it accelerate? Like, what were kind of some of those critical points for you? I have you, you're on mute.
I think that I'm going to guess, but I think that most people, when they get cancer, they take one or two paths. They want to know everything they can because they want to know what to expect, or they a little bit want to maybe put blinders on and just like take it as it comes day by day. And I don't think one is better than the other, but I was definitely in the path of, I need to know everything I can figure out and want to know and what to expect, so I can prepare myself, so I can prepare my family, so I can prepare and be ready with my job. So I knew as soon as I started cold capping, I had about, I think it's 8 weeks before you're going to really start feeling that shed. I think I started my first chemo in about September. And then by January, I could not leave the house without something covering my head. It was more than 50% gone. So I was somewhat prepared, but nothing kind of really prepares you for that shed and that fallout and that loss. And I think part of it when you are receiving all this information and you're being told where you have to be and how many times you have to be there a week and that this is going to happen and this is how you're going to feel, and for whatever reason, hair feels like the only thing you have control over in that moment. They offer cold capping to you. It's a pretty high cost, but I think in that moment you'll just do anything to feel like yourself.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a weighty issue, right?
Yeah.
It feels
Yeah.
like this is the only thing I have control over in this moment. And it feels funny to say, well, it's hair. Like, why does it affect you so much? But I think in a moment where you don't feel like yourself and you know you're not going to feel like yourself for a good few years, it's like, let me grasp onto anything I can.
Yeah. It's interesting. I have, from my background, you know, my family is, I'm second generation in the hair extension industry, and it's hair extensions, but also wigs. So for many years, I had a store in Atlanta, where a lot of women would come for that. And I think what you're saying is about the control, but I also think sometimes it becomes like a very visual reflection of what is going on the inside for the first time that you have to confront, and not just you, but then now everyone else as well. And so it's kind of like you're simultaneously dealing with your own emotions and then having to manage other people's emotions and visually seeing what you're now going through. And so it's like, it's not just hair, right? It's like, it's much bigger. But you did bring up something that I think would be helpful. There's a lot of terms and things that you don't really understand on the outside, but of cold capping. And could you walk us through what that is? And, you know, and also just for stylists to kind of understand with their clients as well.
Sure. So cold capping is presented to you, I think in most chemos, except for one option, it pretty much doesn't work with that type of chemo. It's a process of, it's almost like cryo on your head, specifically your scalp. It does something with the hair, and Lauren, you might be able to better explain it than me, and I experienced it, but it's something about freezing, and the follicle maybe can withhold like block the chemo from making it fall out. I will warn people, I personally feel like it's a very salesy thing. It's not covered by insurance, except in New York. New York was just passed to be the first state to have it covered by insurance. This is within the past few weeks.
Wow.
Which is awesome. But it's a high ticket. You have to make a very quick decision. And there's typically two types you can do. One is connected to a machine and you wear it the entirety of your chemo. And so it feels like kind of like brain freeze, really, for like 6, 7, 8 hours. I think if I had to kind of give you both positive and negative side effects of it, I would say that they don't explain very well that a really good result is keeping 50% of your hair.
Wow.
And maybe they did, maybe I just didn't want to hear that. And so in my case, I had a great result. I kept maybe 40% of my hair, but to pay thousands of dollars and still have to feel like I needed to supplement with a wig or a topper, I don't know if I would do it again. And I don't know if I would recommend it to anybody. It causes a lot of anxiety. It's something you stress about every appointment. It hurts. It made me cry the first time. And I feel like I have a really high pain tolerance. But I get why people do it, because you just want to continue to feel like you.
But it's that percent. I think hearing it within the continuum, the percentages that even if anyone has 50% of their hair, it just doesn't feel enough for
And I think that would be a really big thing that to pass to clients. I think, kind of like Lauren was saying, for the stylist to know what to tell the client. The stylist isn't winning or losing in any way, just being honest. And I think I wish I had someone to tell me like, hey, I want you to think about this. You could spend $5,000 on cold capping, or we can get you an amazing wig for $5,000. So
yeah, that's a great call out. And I would say, Lauren, for you, just for I mean, no situation is ideal. But if you were to say, what are the ideal journey that a stylist can take? Her client sits down in a chair and is like, I just, was diagnosed, my chemo starts in a couple of weeks. Can you kind of map out what you would say is like the ideal journey that a stylist can be available to take their client through?
For sure. I don't know a lot about cold capping. I've only encountered a couple people that have actually decided to take on the process, and I've had some decent success with it. It's not something I hear a lot about around here of people doing, and maybe it's for that reason that, it doesn't have this high rate of being successful with it, and people just don't want to go through the process of, being disappointed. I think just to touch on a couple things that you said, like the most important part is you wanting to feel like yourself. And I think that is what most clients want to feel. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you talk to clients that are about to go through breast cancer and they're going to have a full mastectomy and things like that, like they're more concerned about what is going on with the hair on their head than the fact that they're not going to have breasts anymore. Like that augmentation is the furthest from their mind. Right then, they know they're going to lose their hair and they want to do something about it. And that's actually why the company was named Back to You, was to be able to get you back to you, because we do realize that that is the most important thing. And so when we have a client come in, and I had the first client I had that I was then educated on being able to provide this service. I'll never forget. She had been a client for years. She came in and told me what was about to happen. She's like, I know that you're going through all this training and you know what to do. And you could see the emotion, in her face, but she knew that I had access to information. And, I just, with, I guess when you're talking about the relationship that you need to be able to have with your stylist, is making sure they feel the trust that you have them. No different than when they come in, they have these expectations that you're going to be able to provide for them. So it's the same thing when they're coming in for that type of service. So we basically just walk them through the process of, okay, let's talk about what you're about to go through, like, with losing your hair, how quickly, when do you start chemo? So the nice thing with the service that we can provide is we can get a wig literally 24 hours later. We have a nice stock that we're able to get it in that fast. So them knowing that they're not going to have to wait weeks to be able to have themselves back to themselves is a very comforting thing for them. So that's a nice thing that we can provide. But I think just knowing that we have them and we will be able to keep them looking the most like themselves. If we get a client in that we don't know, that's not been, but they've heard that we can provide this service, the first thing that we ask for is, show me a picture when you liked your hair the most. Like, show me what that looks like, because the last thing you want to do is start picking out wigs that maybe the hair they're wearing right then, it's, not their optimal, but they have a picture from, 10 years before, and it was when they loved their hair the most. So show me when you liked your hair the most, because that's what I want to give you, because I want to feel you to feel the best in this wig that we're about to put you in, because it's not something they're going to be comfortable or used to. But if they visually can see themselves and walk around and nobody knows because it looks like it's their biological hair that people recognize them in, then that's a comfort level that is, priceless.
Okay. Now, I've seen a couple of missteps, so I'm curious from you guys of what do you think the biggest misstep a stylist, or even, and it's interesting, I'm curious with you, Sassy, it's like, you're a stylist, but then also like you have other people doing your hair. And a lot of times people have somebody to do, for their extensions or their color, it's a very fragmented thing. And so who did you have to step into the role to be like your own personal navigator through this? Like, how did you manage figuring out the right solution for yourself as a stylist?
Yeah, I think that I was even a little shocked at myself because I feel like I'm very knowledgeable about extensions. I'm very knowledgeable about hair at this point in my career. And I remember exactly where I was when I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, if I had no clue about hair in general, I would really be in trouble. I think just my own personal lack of knowledge in who do I turn to, where do I order from? Do I just pick something online? Do I try to find a store? Do
Yeah.
I like, what do I do?
Yeah.
I was shocked that I didn't know.
Yeah.
I ended up turning to a couple of resources. I went through a wig company. She's known for her wigs, and it was a fantastic experience. I also went through a friend that had a little bit of knowledge of wigs, and she kind of guided me through someone to purchase from. And then now, kind of a few years later, I've started connecting with different wholesalers and trying to just order some on my own and figure out, what that industry looks like. It's like a whole nother side of hair that I just didn't know or didn't think about existing.
Yeah.
I think I really want to hone in and focus on an experience, though. I think anyone affiliated with Covet Mane, anyone affiliated with high-end extension these past few years has really nailed a beautiful experience for their clients. And I think now, being one myself, needing a wig, I did wish that it came with a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
I wish I got to sit in a chair and have someone say, "You love your hair right now. I could make you a wig that looks just like it." Or someone that, they could bring all their friends and they're going through a hard time and they have a wig party and we're there and we're celebrating and it's a fun, beautiful moment. Because I think it can really turn into like a lonely, scary thing. Lonely, scary, expensive
Yeah.
thing. And so I think there's such a great opportunity to make it an experience in the future for someone.
And I think that's such a beautiful, because I've observed that as well, is like if if people come into a wig store, I don't know if a wig store on your own is the right place to experience, that when you're having a variety of needs amongst the general public and then you walk in. I also don't know, from my observation as well, sometimes like even within the hospital, I don't find that those, like the stores within there, offer the best experience. And Lauren, I'm curious if you could kind of help us with, like, how do we, I know your organization, like what is your approach and how do we close this gap, and like what are the steps to help stylists? It's like, do they need to get trained before they want to offer this to their clients, or is it kind of like a network of stylists who've been certified and then it's a referral basis where you can kind of liaise? Like what is
The process.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and truly that is what the whole organization is about, is we go in and certify hairdressers on how to provide all those answers. So it's basically a one-stop shop. So all the things that you were doing on your own, Sassy, to try and find those answers, Back to You has done it. We've created the website with the access, and then we go into the training program and we come in and we teach you about cap construction. We teach you the difference between human hair, HD synthetic, and synthetic, so that you know the difference and what's best to offer. And, a lot of times, especially with working with high-end hair and extensions that, we're all familiar with, is you think the highest quality human hair is the best answer. You know what I mean? And while we have that to offer, if you have someone that is about to go through a double mastectomy, putting a human hair wig on their head that's going to need care and respond to the weather and get caught in the rain and all these different things, and they can't really have the ability to style it back themselves or have to come drop it off. When you know the difference and you know that HD and synthetic hair is a fiber and it's not going to respond to those kind of things, like those are the ones that we pick out for those types of situations, so that they feel comfortable. Because if they already don't like styling their own biological hair, and then you go give them a human hair wig and they have to deal with all those things and they're going through a process like that, like that's scary. That's like, oh, I still have to do that when I don't feel good. But when I've given them an opportunity to have a type of fiber that is literally, it could get caught in the rain and it's going to dry just like we left it. Like you don't have to worry about it. And it's still a high quality that we have to offer, that it looks still just as real. So it's having that ability to know the difference, knowing the cap constructions. And that's what we go in and teach people, to be able to measure the head and know exactly what size to get. And all the categories are broken down by that. Same with extensions, knowing how to color them so that you can match it perfectly, knowing to order it lighter so that you can go darker easier, because it's easier to go one way than the other. So in our training program, when we go in, those are all the things in that 1-day program that we teach stylists how to do. And that's why we have such a passion for we have right now, we have stylists certified in 22 states. And, this has been since 2018. It's been taking a little bit of a hiatus just due to COVID and everything and getting back out there. But building an industry that this is just second nature, as much as people have taken the initiative to know, I need to know how to do extensions. Now they're getting more into toppers. And that's been like the easier one to go through because it's more of a happy experience. So people, until they have the client in their chair that they need to know this information, they're not really researching that I need to know that information. So it's the more we have conversations like this and put it out there and letting people know that Back to You is here to, start a journey for everybody that they're not even realizing they need yet until they need it.
Yeah. It brings up a good point too, because there is, I think it's like you're in your mind, you're like, you would jump to, let me get the best quality, the most expensive hair, and it may not necessarily be the case that that's where you go to first. And I do think, I wonder if there's like solutions that make sense for somebody who's looking for a cosmetic wig might be very different than someone who's looking for it within chemo, because you also might need more than one solution. And so I'm curious, Sassy, for you, where did you kind of land on, was it a couple of different solutions of like, maybe not every single day do you want to wear a full wig, and some days you just want to mix and match, or some days have like a topper or a hat? Like where did you kind of find the sweet spot of a solution? And maybe did that change over the course of your treatment protocols too?
Yeah, I did. I think I landed on I had 3 or 4 wigs and a topper. I wear my hair short a lot, so if I wanted to wear my topper, I did. If I wanted to have big curly dream hair, Dafina, like yours, I wear my curly wig. And I think there was like this, I had a lot of fun with it. In fact, I a little bit mourn wearing my wigs, that I'm not wearing them every day anymore. I think it was fun for me. It was fun for my clients to see. I think it kind of lightened it a little bit, but I think having a couple different options that are just fun, you feel comfortable with. The topper was nice because I could like work out in it. I didn't even realize I was going to have that much flexibility within different things, which was nice.
Yeah.
It was just all a learned process. But I think in wearing different things personally, it helped me connect with different people for different reasons, whether they were going through chemo or whether, they were just having hair loss and they're like, oh, it's not obvious that you have a topper on, or, oh, I want curly big hair too. Like, how do I do that? And so I think it just kind of opened up the conversation to like, can we make wigs cool again? I feel like everybody wore them, in the 60s, and it was not a big deal. And then for some reason, it's a little taboo now. And I think we need to bring it back.
I was talking to Matt earlier, our head of sales, and I would say I find it, I have kind of like this 10,000-foot view from growing up in the industry and then within Covet Mane. And I do think that culturally, there's a little bit of a difference in my observation within like the Black community. Especially if you see like a lot of our like Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, Megan Thee Stallion, there is an embrace of wigs as just like, it's something you have fun with. And a lot of times I think it's also paired with, it's like a protective style. And you've even seen with like some of the younger generation, but I think that's more like been more common within the Black woman community. And I do think it's a little bit, it is my observation that for like more white women, it is a little bit of a different approach to it. It's more of an association with it being like, oh, you lost your hair and now you're versus and and so there is. Lauren, do you find any like cultural differences like just within your work as well? Have you observed any of that too?
Yeah, it's definitely, I feel like people are becoming more open to getting extensions, and now we're really focusing on toppers with people so that they feel comfortable, because obviously we know with extensions, like you can only get so far up the head to make a difference, and the toppers added to it is a huge thing. So we've started making that a huge focus within the salon to make that the new norm, and just having them in the salon, being able to show them, put it on, touch it, feel it, so that way they can make it the new norm and they don't feel weird to put something on their head. So we've kind of almost taken that approach Back to You to kind of almost like backtrack, because stylists do kind of feel a little weird when it comes to wigs and things like that, that if we start and talk about that in our program, like, let's start with the toppers. Let's make you feel comfortable with the toppers so you feel comfortable having that conversation and feel really good about it. So then when you do get these situations that you then have to move to wig, like talking about hair being put on somebody is just normal. So like that is how we're trying to transition and create a new normal for us is, okay, there's plenty of people that come in that can wear toppers and be huge benefit from it. So like my younger stylists, getting them into that makes them feel really comfortable. So then when we get into these situations, having the wig conversation is not as difficult because they've had that experience.
Yeah. Sassy, I'm curious for you. Did you find any like salon services, like scalp treatments, products, anything that you felt, and sometimes they're helpful, not necessarily, it's just more like psychosomatic, like it just, makes you feel better or you actually noticed a difference in your journey. Did you find anything that was helpful outside of the cold tapping?
I've been pretty strict on my regimen. I use Divi serum, scalp serum every single night. I think I just realized the importance of scalp and like I want it, healthy all the way through. I did a Kerastase 8-hour night serum every single night.
Okay.
I didn't really touch it with heat or color for 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I still haven't, which is crazy. A little bit of heat, but no color.
Yeah.
And then I am a big fan of red light therapy. And I didn't know if it was too woo-woo, if I was making it up in my head or if it was actually growing back from red light. But I will tell you guys, I had a very nice red light therapy light on my nightstand on my left side. And I noticed that my lashes on my left side were coming back, but my right side was not. Yeah. So I really do think that the red light therapy consistent every single night made a big difference.
There's some clinical, I've gotten into it as well. I have one and I'm just like put it on like while I'm watching TV.
Yeah.
A little bit like can't hurt. But I do think we're starting to get a little bit of clinicals around that it's, it's not doing any harm, the minimum. And that there could be some like follicular benefits, with some clinicals that will come up.
Yeah.
Lauren, have you found any treatments that you got, treatment services, products that you guys recommend
we're a huge we've always been huge in supporting a healthy scalp and things like that. We have a scalp therapy line in Euphora, and then we also have Xenogen. I've seen a lot of great results with that. But being surrounded by the hair loss industry my entire life, I mean, I remember starting, I was like 15, 16 when Nioxin came out, and that was like, that was the forefront, and it's still around and doing things. So it's been a constant thing of me trying new products and what really works. And so I think there's so many on the market right now, as long as you're using something that's really working, in all cases, whether it's somebody with alopecia or just, male pattern baldness, being able to have that resource to add into their journey when they start growing back. And even just keeping a clean, healthy scalp, something for sensitivity when you're going through chemo, something aloe-based, things like that. Like we try to keep those around so that we know that we're giving their scalp the best place to grow back and be in a healthy space.
Yeah, I think what there's been, even without discussion around chemotherapy and cancer, just in the last year or two, the awareness of scalp health and the microbiome around the scalp is really increased a lot, not just treating your ends, but making sure on the follicle side as well. Okay, so then you hit this, you have your wigs and then your hair does start to grow back. And so I'm curious for you, Sassy, 2 questions. How did you feel like you had to have a shift in options? Like, did the wigs that worked maybe before when you didn't have as much hair, were they more challenging once you did, or did you have to shift any like techniques underneath? And then are you ever thinking about extensions again? Or are you kind of, like where do you
like land with all that
as you kind of come to your journey?
I think because everything I learned was just trying it and experimenting, and I wish so much I had known about back to you. Gosh, that would have changed everything for me. But I think the only thing I was kind of surprised about was that a wig can fit so well until your hair grows back. And then you're like, oh my gosh, like I just, all the like aha moments of, oh, okay, this makes a big difference. So I think that could further prepare me for someone that is losing their hair, that, you know, when you're sizing them, fitting them, it really matters what they have, and then what are they going to, and then, you know, what are they able to grow their hair back? So things like that, I think, made a big difference. I think that wearing the topper, again, I wore that to the very end. I literally just stopped wearing things maybe a month and a half ago. I feel a little naked. It is weird to kind of go back without. It was a little bit of a security blanket. It still is weird. I went to my 20-year reunion 2 weeks ago, and I was calling, you know, my friends on the way down, like, should I wear the wig? Like, I still feel funny. I don't know. I think that it's just, for me, it was all about the options, and just having a choice in the morning. That was that's a big thing. I think just to feel like I could be short, I could be long, I could, whatever I had, I just wanted to feel confident in wearing that. And that was really important.
Yeah. And there is, I think, you're calling out a good point of like, you know, like when you just wig too good, that sometimes you're like, I just pulled this off so well to go back to wearing my natural hair. Although it's like
a little letdown.
Like, I mean, your hair looks amazing, right? But it's like, it's this relativity thing that you introduced.
Oh, totally. I feel like a little lost. Like, did I forget how, I don't know how to style? I have to dry it. Like, this is crazy. Yeah, it's too funny. I miss the versatility. Truly. I miss having short hair one day, long hair the next. Like, it was a wild trip. It was the best wig trip I could ask for.
You rocked so many different styles. I love you like opening up and sharing that, because I do think like the word journey, it can be like, I feel like we're talking like on The Bachelor, but I think sometimes you can realize like in the high view mirror that it's not just, it doesn't have to be this completely sad, miserable thing that men discover. And if, you know, Lauren, with your organization, helping stylists to help them find these moments to take it and be like, let's not, you know, he would be like, make the best of it. Like, no, it still sucks, obviously. But if there's a way that we can have some fun or experiment or hold your hand.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely silver linings in it.
Yes, that's
it's a really, if I learned anything about Cancer, it's like big blessings come with it. And you have to be open enough to see them. But some of the best parts of my life came in these past 2 years.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of the role, like what would you say, like the key role that a stylist can be in this is it's having the conversation, Lauren. And would you say it's like, if they're not certified yet, it's like, you know, how long would it take for a stylist to go from being like, I don't even know what to say, from, you know, to hold their hand, to really being able to fully serve their needs? Like, what does that process time-wise look like within your organization?
You know, it's interesting. It's different for everyone as far as that goes, but I think knowing that you have somebody to hold your hand through it would be the key there. So if somebody like a stylist being interested in being able to provide this, like have somebody that has your back to be able to walk you through that. And that's one thing with Back to You that we try to really enforce is you don't have to know everything and remember everything. You don't have to specifically have gone through the training yet, but just being able to reach out to us. Harry is available all the time for it. He holds people's hands left and right. I do that with my staff and basically anybody that calls upon us, because we now feel very comfortable and are familiar with the conversation that we can walk you through it. So when one of my stylists gets somebody in their chair to provide this service, you know, they immediately kind of get that internal freak out that they're going to say the wrong thing. And I'm like, just remember the key things, you know, find out when they're going to be going through this, make sure we find a picture of what they like their hair the most, and ensure them that we're going to find them the best wig that's going to work for them. And just let me help walk you through it. So I think having an access to somebody that can just kind of walk you through it until you gain it, the knowledge to be able to speak to it. And I think, you know, there's been situations here recently, like until you get that one person in your chair that it comes and says that to you, you don't even realize how important it is to have that knowledge. So sometimes it takes those moments to like set you back and, you know, make you take a breath to be like, okay, I've got to figure this out.
Mhm.
So contacting the right people to be able to have that, or having somebody within your salon. So sometimes it's not about having the whole salon certified, but just having that one person that has had that experience and they know how to handle it, and they can just be there to kind of back it up. Because like you said, when people come in and they have a hair part, they bring in their support system. I mean, there's not been one time where I haven't had somebody come in that they don't bring at least one, if not two, three, four people with them, and then we had, shaving parties and everybody got a chance to shave a little kind of thing. Like we've had private moments for that. We have a private room for it, or, just being out on the floor and watching people put toppers on it, then it exposes everybody else to know that it's okay. And we're here to provide this service. But I think just making a connection to know, who do I call when this happens if I'm not certified yet? Like, what's the resource?
Yeah.
Just like you
Yeah.
said, Sassy, like if you would have known that Back to You was a resource, you would have gone
Been there.
directly
Yeah,
down there, and
absolutely.
without even having been through the certification, we could have basically done your consultation for you. We
Yeah.
would have been the one to take care of you and walk you through that, and then it would have given you more of the resources and know-how to be able to then carry that on for the future.
Yeah. And I think after having gone through this now, and you said it earlier, I see the importance of being knowledgeable for my clients. It's a responsibility. And I don't think I realize the weight of that. And who else are they going to come to when
Yeah.
they get that phone call? Who do they call other
Mhm.
than the person that's done their hair for years, that you've lived a lot of life with these people,
Yeah.
and you don't want to have to tell them in a moment of like, ugh, that you can't help them.
Right.
Like, take the time, get certified, understand, empower yourself to either, so you can either help them or guide them to someone that can totally take care of them.
Right. And
Yeah.
I think that's the importance of making this more of a global thing in our industry, because
Mhm.
it's not talked about enough to where stylists know that they should take that responsibility, nor do the clients know that the stylists are able to take that responsibility. Like even
Yeah.
clients don't associate us with that. They think
Yeah.
big shops, like they're still
Yeah.
not putting it together because they think, oh, well, they just deal with our biological hair. That's
Yes.
not, they're not a wig shop. They don't do that. But the more we as stylists and within our own companies can make that message very clear that like, no, 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 we have this available here. So again, it's not if, it's when something like that
Yeah.
happens to you or somebody close to you, we've got you. So being
Yeah.
able to spread that message is our biggest, form of success that we're trying to have.
It's
Right.
incredible. And I think for Covet Mane, I think what we really wanted to step into with our stylists is that we have like the best of the best in terms of extension stylists who, as Sassy, as you said, offer this very elevated experience, but also that's just the beginning of what your clients look to you for. And so, we've talked about with hair loss, perimenopause, postpartum, speaking with the dermatologist wanting to empower the stylist to know how central you are. You're often
Yeah.
the first place that someone goes. It's the same with cancer. And there's a lot of other, I've talked to people who have like, whether it's eczema or even just like with abuse, a lot of times, a stylist is like there's so
Yeah.
much that being a stylist, there's so much responsibility that comes with it. And there's a lot
Yeah.
of resources available and a lot of organizations who want to partner because they understand how central a stylist relationship
Yeah.
is in their lives, and just really encouraging our collective to, handle and own that
Yeah.
that privilege that you guys have. And as much as we can be here to help make those connections and those
Yeah.
resources,
Yeah.
I think is super important. So Sassy, we're gonna kind of close on this. Closing in, if you guys have questions or want to, speak in, we'll be wrapping soon. But it's actually crazy because I remember being with you in Dallas. I can't believe it was 2 years ago, but from this journey that you've kind of been on now, like if you had one message to someone who's going through this experience, and what's one message that it doesn't have to be related to hair at all, or the way, just the one thing, the message that you would want to give to someone currently going through this.
Ooh, that's a hard one. I think that people are ready to step up and help. And it's okay to kind of pause and let them help you, and I think it's a hard thing for stylists. We're such people, we're in our job every day to help others. And so it was a really weird thing for me to let people help me and let people help my family. And I'll probably round this out by saying probably the most important thing I learned was it's okay for life to look a little bit different after you're on the other side of it. I think I was very disappointed that life didn't return to how it was. And I struggled with that a lot this past year. But my friend that had said this to me, she was like, life is going to look different. And she said, if it was exactly the same once you went through all the chemo and all the surgeries and all the things you've learned, if it went back to exactly the same, you're a crazy person. There's no way life will ever go back the same. And I think just embracing that and accepting it and learning what you can and thinking like, okay, we're kind of on a different path, and that's okay. There's a reason for that,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think sometimes you have these, I call them like clarifying events in life, right?
Yeah.
Where you could have been stuck in stasis on a lot of things, and they help kind of accelerate things that you just
yes. It really, for me, it really reprioritized my life. There was a lot of things maybe like I didn't even realize they were like out of order. And it forces you to kind of reprioritize, slow down, accept a lot of love, give a lot of love, give a lot of grace. And like I said, the biggest blessings came out of cancer. I did not expect that. But you see a lot of good in a lot of people, and you realize how strong you are.
Yeah.
We actually have a question for Lauren. How would you say offering this service has impacted your business, the culture of your team, and the overall ethos in your salon and with your clients?
I would think first and foremost, it's elevated us from within. I think when you become a stylist, you want to learn to do the best blonde, do the best cut, all the things, then extensions becomes a thing. And so when we have brought this on to be able to offer this service, it elevated us as a profession first and foremost. And I think that was a huge thing for our business, and it's continuing to do that. And we continue to empower each other by being able to take this on, feeling comfortable to do it across the board. It's not just me. I'm slowly building other stylists within our company that feel as comfortable with it as I do, so that it becomes, again, we're trying to spread this message so that people know that our salon's the place that you can go to get this. And we even have other stylists in our area that send their clients or their clients' mothers to us because they know we do it. So first and foremost, elevating from the inside out to be able to just speak this message. So, as far as like, it does generate sales. There's definitely a dollar situation there that any business wants to be able to increase the offerings and availability. But I think personally, and as the team leader, I feel like it's done something for our company just to be able to provide something for somebody that right now nobody in our area can do.
Yeah.
I love that.
Now, for stylists who are on this call today, do you have, what's the best way if they're at all curious about getting in contact with you? What's the best way to get started?
It's actually very simple. You go to backtoyou.org, and up in the right-hand corner, it's register as a stylist. And then you can be able to maneuver around our website, kind of learn more about us. We have a full marketing program. And, I won't go into it too much, but there's a whole aspect where we help people actually deal with insurance companies to get reimbursed for it and be able to have that conversation, getting, a prescription from their doctor to be able to get cranial. It's not referred to as wigs through insurance. This is cranial prosthesis, but most insurances do have some type of coverage. So that's a whole other part of our conversation when we have a consultation, because that's, people want to look a certain way, but they associate good quality wigs with really expensive wigs, which is not wrong. But a lot of people don't even realize that there are a lot of insurance companies that do have coverage for it. We just have to find out what that is. So when we're doing your consultation and picking out your wigs, we can maneuver the best way around it. And I hope I don't say the wrong state, but I'm pretty sure it's Minnesota has approved that all insurance companies has to have some type of coverage for the cranial prosthesis and for wigs. And that's another thing that, we're trying to stay aware of as we keep providing this certification around the country is which states are those? Like, how do we really touch those people too, so that this becomes more of a global message?
Yeah. And Sassy, for you within right now, is this an area that you're looking to go deeper in, or, where I know that you have a whole new side of
It's wild.
it as well.
I'm currently midlife crisising, starting over. It's so funny. Exactly 4 weeks before I got diagnosed, I had kept bringing up wigs, and I didn't know anything about them, but I wanted to learn. And I drove down to Dallas, randomly walked into a place and purchased two, and kind of played with them, cutting them, coloring them. I just, for whatever reason, felt called to like maybe start something new and understand something I wasn't familiar with. I feel like wigs in general, or toppers, or hair replacement is such a big industry, and I feel like such a small fish. I feel very like I don't know. I'm starting at square one, and so to go from something where I feel very confident and knowledgeable, and I can speak to my clients from knowledge, personal and just educationally experience, like it feels weird. It's very humbling to start from square one, when I have to be very honest and say, hey, I don't know, let me go ask someone and I'll come back and answer this. But I do feel very called to step into this and learn and teach and make it a beautiful experience. There has to be great things that come out of cancer. And if wearing 4 wigs and feeling like a bombshell and, gaining your confidence back in a time where it can go really low, then that's what I got to do. I want to give people some hope in that. And I think that God had me go through this for a reason, and there's an excitement to moving forward with that.
Well, you'll definitely keep us posted, and we'll be hearing, and we want to be, for our Covet Collective, for any of you who have questions or want to get started, please reach out to us. Please go directly to the resources here. But I think it's the biggest thing, the reason why for us as a brand we wanted to have this conversation is that with our brand, a lot of the way we look at wanting to be your hair extension partner for the life of your business. And we really imagine that that's what you look for with your clientele as well. And so, as cancer initiatives get more involved and more people are getting screened, we are going to have a lot more people, experiencing this. And as your clientele gets older, it's just something that I think it's more empowering when you're prepared and know that this is coming, whether this is a wave that comes 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, just to build that, the awareness of the resources and elevate our industry. I think our industry is such a transformative, central part of so many people's lives. So as much as possible, I want us to put your point, Sassy, is be able to have beautiful experiences around like all the different journeys that your clients are going to come to. So I really thank you guys for having this conversation during Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But as we go throughout the entire year, it's just really important to make sure that we keep up with our screenings and we bug our friends that they're keeping up with their, just that although it can be scary, I think, as you're saying, it's on the other side of this could be a lot of awakenings and a lot of new horizons that open up for people. So thank you guys for really, I know this is very personal to share, and I know that not everybody is comfortable with that. And so for those who are, it's a gift. And I hope Sassy, it's really been a gift our community, how much you've really shared and opened up, and the good and the bad, because I know it's been a
Thank
journey.
you.
But thank you for that.
I
And
appreciate
then
that.
Lauren, thank you for, sharing your organization and then also just your role as a stylist within this as well. And if this is something that speaks to any of you, I really hope that you come out. And well, we would love to follow up with some additional resources for Lauren.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it. And Sassy, it's been great listening to your story. And, I think that, I've had cold chills every time you talked during this, this recording. I think the cool part about you and your story is it takes somebody like having a story to be able to elevate us as an industry to keep the education alive and be able to have companies like what we do and be able to spread the message on stylists need to know how to do this. So your story is really important and I'm excited to see what you do with it.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. I am like already ready to dive into the company, find what I should have found 2 years ago. I'm very, very excited. And to spread the word to other stylists about your company.
Thank you.
Then so we have a follow-up question for you, and this will be our final, we're back to you in terms of, so like today we're talking about speaking to stylists and building that awareness within that community. But then in terms of for like consumer awareness, or if we have friends and family who need to navigate this journey, do you guys have marketing material, or how would that be covered?
Yeah, so on the website in the right-hand corner, it says register, sign in, or for a stylist, sign in or register. Then also right next to it, it's become a client. And you basically go on there and register, and it helps you with a salon locator. So basically all of the stylists that are registered with Back to You are on a salon locator. So all you have to do is punch in where your location is, and it'll connect you with the closest Back to You certified stylist. So that's the nice thing about that. And we're in the process right now of connecting with a lot of different relationships with medical offices as well. When you talked about dermatology and things like that, I've got a girlfriend that does dermatology. And so like she gets people that are going through male pattern baldness. So making sure they have that connection. So if we do need to start them with a topper or things like that, and then being able to get to oncology departments. So there's a huge campaign that's starting right now with Back to You for us to make that direct connect, and that they have our pamphlets and access so that they can be able to go into the website and find the salon locator, so that we can, again, bridge that gap of the medical that is diagnosing. And then for this aspect to not just have to go into the wig shop if they have one in the hospital, but be able to do a direct connect to a certified hairdresser that knows how to provide this service.
Yeah, and I think it's so important to keep the stylist at the center of this, because they know you when you felt best, and they can help,
Yeah, there's that relationship.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So thank you everyone who joined today, and lovely connecting with you guys and having this conversation. But thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.